Welcome back to another episode of In Between the Sticks. If you haven't yet, give us a subscribe, give us a like on the YouTube. If you don't have YouTube, you can listen to us on Spotify, just simply In Between the Sticks. Also on Instagram and TikTok. So if you want to give us a follow, we would very much appreciate it. We got some great topics today. Unfortunately, JP is not joining us, but we got some great topics, and let's get into it. First topic of the day, I guess, obviously we got Minicamp going on, whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes. We got to see, like, kind of this week is the first week watching, like, in
Being
camp
allowed to see it,
videos,
yeah.
watching, like, all the fun stuff happen, like, kind of watching Will Levis get back into the scene, getting our first look at Calvin Ridley. So it's been kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm glad to
Yeah,
see our defense, and I don't have the clips for it or whatever, but that first I think it was the first day that the reporters and everybody were allowed to be there during the mini camp practice session. Our defense kind of took over against our offense. And that was a big, talking point. Everybody saying, "Oh, maybe Will Levis isn't ready." Yada yada yada. It is 7-on-7. No pads, not really a lot of contact. And like I was explaining earlier, our coaches are asking our quarterbacks to throw questionable throws just to see, if they're comfortable with it, what they can get away with in 7-on-7. Because in 11-on-11, that throw might be open. It just might not be open in the 7-on-7. So I'm not too worried about the offensive side of things right now because, like we said earlier, we have a much better secondary this year compared to what we've had. So them being a little more what do you want to call it, overpowering, I guess, on our offense right now is a good thing.
yeah, I agree, and I think everybody. It's so easy to hear the media and all the fans get a little bit upset or worried on the front end because Will Levis maybe had a bad day, or I think he threw an interception to Dr. Gibby at one point, and people are like, "Are you kidding me? He threw a pick to him." But it's
It was
just
a
like
snag, though. There's a video of it.
It was
it's a,
snag.
it was a
snagged
good
that
play.
ball.
It seemed like, but it's like you can't. He's learning a new offense. He's got all new coaches. He's got
New
pretty much.
receivers.
He's got two out of his top three receivers this year are new. And Hopkins, he's only been with 1 year. Yeah, it looks like he's got a good relationship with him, but there's not a lot of experience there. There's too much to just say, oh, maybe Will Levis is not what we thought. Are you kidding me? He's
One
given
weekend,
us
really.
more hope in half a season last year than we've had since arguably
2019.
quarterback wise, maybe
Ever.
Marcus. Because, yeah, Tannehill was decent enough to get us where we thought we could have win a Super Bowl. But quarterback potential wise, we haven't been this excited since, but probably Marcus, unless you want to go all the way back and Steve actually proved himself, or Vince Young for like a year or whatever. But I don't know. To me, it's too early to make assumptions about Will Levis. I think he's proven the ability to show flashes, and if you bring in an offensive mind like Callahan, you know, and a better offensive line, at least it's going to seem like, but an offensive mind of Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz, he's going to be able to progress. So I think making a judgment this early in camp, not even training camp, is a little bit early, but we'll get into that a little bit more. And I think we also have a couple of video clips that Drew's gotten us, and shout out Teron Davenport at @TDavenport_NFL on Twitter. He takes these videos with the Titans media team, so we've taken a couple of those clips to use in this episode, so we appreciate that. Shout out Teron. But yeah, I think that's the interesting thing. I will say I know Brian Callahan said that the offense kind of had a bounce back day on Thursday, I believe. So that was good to hear too. That's what it's about. And look, honestly, this is probably going to be the best defense we've had in maybe ever. Who knows? Potentially,
passing defense.
for sure.
Corner, secondary
so,
wise, for sure.
yeah. I mean, obvious holes or spots we don't know about yet are linebacker and D line, but we have talent there. It's just a matter of can we put it together. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't want to jump the gun on the mini camp stuff right now.
New staff. They're trying to implement how they want to do things, and like how different plays, different schemes. It's these players have been learning, especially the players that have been here a couple years. They're having to learn a whole new system, and play a totally
Harold
different way.
Landry.
Yeah,
Harold
like
Landry is
Harold.
now our longest tenured Titan on our team.
Yeah,
That's
it's kind
crazy.
of crazy.
And he's still, how old is he? Like 27, 28?
Yeah, I don't
he's
think he's
27,
30.
28.
He's not that old.
Yeah.
He was drafted a year before Simmons.
That's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like that proves my point. Like it's a whole new staff. It's a whole new like receiving room with Ridley, and you can't just magically go out there and be on the same page as some of these guys that you've never thrown a pass to before, because that's just not how the game works. But I mean, honestly, props to our defense though. That's without Snead too. So that's Cheeto and McCreary and Caleb Farley putting in the work. So it's good.
Well, I
Iron
did see
sharpens
some
iron.
clips. Farley was getting cooked in a couple of clips, but that's to be expected. I mean, this man really didn't play at all last year because of things that happened off the field.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or
then
the
I'm
year
pretty sure
before.
the year before that he was hurt again, and then obviously had the injuries coming out of college even. But
He's missed.
I'm hoping he can at least just get to where he can play. He just needs the reps. That's what he
Mm-hmm.
needs.
Same thing with Brownlee.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he's barely played his whole career since he gotten to the NFL. So if he can just get the reps and get comfortable again and be healthy for us, just to be a depth piece, and if he plays anything, because he was a first round pick,
Mm-hmm.
that we took him with, and he's on the last year of his contract too. So hopefully he can turn it around. But taking it away from our camp, we do have some more common NFL news to talk about. The man Justin Jefferson, Jay Jettis, got that long-awaited contract that he's been waiting on. 4-year, $180 million, highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history.
He deserves it. I mean, if we're being honest here, like, just going off numbers, and he missed a lot of last season too. He missed at least like 6 or 7 games last year as well.
Mm-hmm.
What, most yards in a single like first 4 seasons ever.
He
so
still was insanely productive, missing
yeah,
a third of the
missing
season
that many
last year.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also
So-
like look at the quarterback situation too. Kirk Cousins got
Yeah.
hurt pretty early.
And Kirk was balling too before he got hurt.
Astro Dobbs came in and sucked it up, and then they went to whoever else they went to. So to still like compete and put out numbers like that, it's impressive. He deserves it. So props
He
to him.
definitely deserves it. Do y'all think his level of production is going to stay the same? Obviously, with the new quarterback change in J.J. McCarthy, a lot of people have some doubts on because he didn't have that, shotgun passing around style because of college in Michigan. They ran the ball a lot more. And y'all think he's still going to produce the way he's been producing?
It's hard to say yes or no for that, like up front, just like yes, he is, because you don't have that veteran guy that like can figure out ways to get him the ball, just period. And so, but I do think because of how good he is, and now Justin Jefferson is a veteran, you're going to see the other JJ McCarthy potentially forced to him in times when he shouldn't. I mean, we saw this with Levis last year. He a lot of times forced to Hopkins. Now, you have to look at our wide receiver room.
Yeah.
There's a reason. So, I think that he could. It's hard to say yes or no. I mean, he's definitely good at getting open, but I think there's also opportunity for McCarthy to maybe force to him. I mean, he's going to get doubled too, so it's hard to say. I still think he's going to be one of the top receivers. There's no doubt about that. He's just too good.
Statistically, I think that he might take a step back this first year because McCarthy needs some time to kind of get adjusted to the different level of play from college to the NFL. But also, the Vikings, like, that's a really good offense to go into as a rookie quarterback. I mean, they obviously, like, they brought in Aaron Jones, who's a veteran running back who's still got some
It's going to be huge.
a ton. You got TJ Hawkinson, who's a top 5 tight end, and then Jordan Addison balled last year. And it's a lot of mouths to feed, but it's like that's a good problem to have if you're especially a rookie quarterback. Like that's the same thing with Caleb Williams. Like it's very good to have some like proven talent around those guys.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how high on the totem pole he is in everybody's fantasy picks now without having a Kirk Cousin-esque type of quarterback.
He'll
to
still
get him the
probably
ball.
be top 3 at the very least, top 5.
He'll take a step back, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
But
another, go ahead.
not to cut you off, but just to kind of close that, I don't think the step back is because of him necessarily. But I also don't want to put all that on JJ McCarthy because we don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you can just assume there's going to be some rookie woes to battle through for him. So, whether that it's hard to think that would mean an uptick in JJ's stats because we know that Justin Jefferson is going to produce. It's just, what's he going to be able to do with a rookie quarterback? So,
Yeah,
who knows?
I didn't mean like him taking a step back, like physically or
Yeah.
like talent level, but like statistically,
it's just
I
going to
think
happen.
number wise, it's gonna just it'll come down a little bit because Kirk Cousins isn't throwing him the ball. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And y'all see their new icy white alternate uniforms they just
I
came
did
out
see
with
that.
too? I like
Fire.
those a lot. I think
They're
those are
fire.
great.
I like the fact that the helmets are white too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
For
nice.
sure.
Big fan. But Drew, were you wanting to play that clip of Arden Key?
Not yet. We also have another contract that got signed, a wide receiver 2 contract in the form of Jalen Waddle on the Miami Dolphins.
And it wasn't really a wide receiver 2 contract.
No, it was not. He signed a
No.
3-year extension for $84.75 million with Tua that still needs to be signed on his contract, and Tyreek wants to get another contract as well.
Yes, and let me just say before we get into this contract, shout out Ran the man Carthon because that Calvin Ridley deal is looking better and better and better by the day because of these contracts. So,
And I think it was I forgot who it was that I heard it on. It was one of another Titans podcast show I was watching, but you see that all the Jags fans wanted to come at us for the contract we signed them with and everything, but it's like if Calvin would have signed that contract with the Jags, it would have been perfectly fine. Everybody would have thought, oh yeah, they had to lock up their wide receiver 1. That's a perfect amount to call it. But since it was the Titans that did it, now it's a problem.
Same thing with the Patriots.
Yeah,
if the Patriots would have signed him, they would have said, "Oh, that's a great contract. They need a wide receiver 1."
I don't know with Miami, it's just tough, man, because you got, especially with Tyreek, needing a new contract, and now you got Justin Jefferson signing the contract that he got, plus what Calvin got. Like the floor for Tyreek Hill's new one is just going up and up and up. After giving Waddle what you just gave him, which, I mean, is he a good wide receiver 2 for sure? I mean, one of the best wide receiver 2s in the league,
but he's also
is he
trouble staying on the field.
Yeah, I don't. Definitely a reach on that contract for me.
Because Tyreek Hill's getting what, 27 a year, and now they're paying Jalen Waddle because he was the highest paid at the time of his contract, and since then he's been surpassed by now Jalen Waddle, who's on the same team as him, who's not as good as he is. So like, I mean, that's why he's going to be asking for a new contract. But like, wow, 28 a year for a wide receiver 2. How much did Devontae Smith get signed for? Do y'all remember when we talked about that like 2 episodes ago? It was not 28 a year. I know that for a fact.
You said Devontae Smith?
Yeah, Devontae Smith. Because remember, they re-signed AJ, but they re-signed Devontae Smith as well. I can't remember how much they signed him for.
Well,
but
like they extended AJ too.
Yeah, they extended.
So they did
both
something similar.
Yeah, because Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle were both teammates, came into the league at the same time. I don't want to say Devontae Smith has had more like success necessarily, but like at the same time he has.
I think they've been somewhat equal.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
trying
know.
to find it, but
I know he got re-signed. I just can't remember how much. But 28 to me feels like a little bit of an overpay, just because.
He signed a 3-year extension, $75 million, 51 guaranteed.
So it was less. 25. It's not that big of a difference, actually. That's not too bad, I guess.
Well, they
it's
still
a
got
crazy
AJ.
market right now.
Yeah, it is.
AJ was It was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Somewhere around there.
He got 33 a year. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he signed.
Yeah,
33.
it was like 94 or 96 million total.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
So, the market is crazy. I mean, he's productive. I think that's kind of a high risk, high reward because it's like as long as he stays on the field, I think it'll work out for them. Especially because Waddle, like you say, was on the Alabama team, but we can't forget that was Tua too. So they have that chemistry already, and we already know he's gonna throw it to Tyreek. So if they stay healthy, I think it's worth it. I'm interested to see what Tua does. I know we can hit on that a little bit potentially because he lost. I think
they're going to be asking him to take a pay cut.
Did you
see?
To be honest, he lost. He looks thin.
Oh yeah, he looks like
I think
it's
a good thin for him because he's going to be a little bit more
Well, he wanted to because he
mobile.
wanted, yeah, he
Yeah.
wanted to lose weight to extend more plays,
So
which he definitely did. But
I think he
it's
looks a
just,
little healthier, but you know, they're one of those teams that has the kind of like Herbert in my opinion. Like there's a lot of talent there, but it's just a matter of that they seem to struggle to put it together when it matters.
mhm.
So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah,
Another
I
thing
don't
I'll
know if
bring
you
up
wanted to
right
say
before
anything
we
else.
get into our segments we're gonna do is a rumor mill
Mm.
is that division rival quarterback from the Indianapolis Colts, Anthony Richardson, is now rumored to be 255 pounds and can still run a 4.40. But clips surfaced the other day of them at their OTAs, and he's still having to throw with his left hand during OTAs because his
And
shoulder is still
people think he's
injured.
trying to work on being amphibious, as Donnie Baker would say,
Like
ambidextrous.
if
But
that was Will Levis in that clip,
no, his
oh,
shoulder's hurting.
it'd be
It'd be
over with.
over. It'd be over. Yeah,
His
I don't
shoulder
know.
is hurting.
I see. I
That's what
can't
Yeah,
it is.
remember.
from last
Like,
year when we knocked it off.
so he got hurt in like what was it, week 4? It was very early
It
in
was
the
against
season.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
it
he
was the first game
missed.
against us
He missed the whole
because
season.
Gardner Minshew torched us
He did.
Yeah.
like he always
Also,
does.
from the last episode, we do know who their backup quarterback is now because Minshew did leave. And when I remember last episode, I was in there, asking, "Oh, I don't even know who it's going to be." It's Joe Flacco.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
That
they
is
picked him
correct.
up.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel.
heck, scared. I'm more scared of their backups than I am of Richardson right
Yeah.
now.
Nah, you're crazy.
Yeah,
If
he hasn't had time
Richardson's
to prove anything
healthy,
yet.
woo, if Richardson
No, we
is
saw.
healthy,
Yeah, we saw what Richardson did to
Mm-mm-mm.
Tennessee's defense a couple years ago.
nothing. He was bagged. They lost. Either way,
He fumbled to lose us a game in his senior year.
if he can stay healthy, that's especially at 255. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
I don't
He's
believe that for a
huge.
minute.
I mean,
Because there's two ways
he's
it's
a
going to
big
work.
boy.
Either that weight is going to allow him to necessarily take more hits and lower injuries, or it's the complete opposite spectrum where that's too much weight on his frame and it's going to lead to more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be an interesting watch.
Well, I hope he can
I saw
figure
a
it
video. I saw a video on Twitter today, and it was
The
it was
drumstick.
like somebody holding a drumstick, and the meat just fell off the bone.
Yeah, it
And
was
somebody
like- it
said,
was
"This
like
is what Anthony
AR
Richardson's shoulder is like."
out. Wow.
So
Yeah.
I hope he can
It's
figure it out.
funny.
He's got a lot of talent. I want to see him on the field because he is a special athlete.
Yeah, I mean, as a Florida fan, I want to see him succeed. I can't wait to sit there and see what
Please don't say it.
What?
Ricky
Let me-
Pearsall.
yeah, I mean, honestly,
Hey,
he might be.
I've
good.
heard he's kind of going crazy.
Yeah, I
with
mean,
the
I wanted to
routes.
pick him up, but regardless,
Was he a little early? Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
AR is just one that like I want him to succeed, but when he plays us, don't like I just don't want him to.
Yeah.
But we can move on here. Like Hill said earlier in the episode, just want to give a shout out to Ron Davenport. I hit him up the other week, and he gave us the permission and the go ahead to use some of his clips that he put out for the media day from the OTAs the other week. So we're going to use a couple of those just on some key points that I thought we needed to bring up and go over. This first one is going to be an interview that Chig had where, the media has been really, asking the players what the differences in culture is because that's something that Callie has been trying to preach on and off again is that, they're trying to change this culture. And even they asked Harold Landry, even I think the other day, but Harold kind of shut it down. He's like, I'm not going to talk about Vrabel, and Vrabel's not in the building because he has that respect for him. So
You're starting with the second one?
Is
Is
it
it
Arden
what?
Key or Chig?
Oh no, yeah, my fault. We'll start on the Latham one. That's right. This one is an interesting one I saw on Latham. It's from Nick Holtz, our offensive coordinator. This is a little backstory he had on him from his draft day, and this just talks to what we've talked about with Latham about the kind of player that he's going to be, the kind of leader that he's going to be. And before I play this clip, there's something I wrote down where in his interview yesterday, I believe it was, they asked him, has he talked with fellow rookie Devondre Sweat, to see checking up on him, see how he's doing. And Latham said, yeah, like he called him yesterday, and basically was just telling him like, hey, get your body right. Don't try to rush back, that kind of stuff. He's like, I know it's frustrating not being out here, but, we'd rather have you fully healthy and productive than, speeding it up and getting more hurt, which I thought
Mm-hmm.
coming from a rookie, I mean, he already sounds like a vet,
Oh, for
and
sure.
That's the
that might be,
Alabama mentality,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, he's got a
exactly.
leadership quality for
But
sure.
this is gonna be a good little story that Holt has on him that we could watch here real quick.
Well, JC has maybe the best energy of any person on this team. I mean, he is like he's out here all day. Here's a side story about JC. The day he signed his contract or something, we were sitting in our office. I was having a sandwich, and it's about to have a thunderstorm out here, and we look outside and I walk down the hallway. It's just JC out here by himself, at 4:30 in the afternoon, hitting a sled. And, so Brandon and I walked out there. We're like, hey, first of all, you can't be working on the field. You got to go. And there's about to be a thunderstorm. And, he's just like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so his energy is infectious from that standpoint. But I would say he's done a really nice job with his footwork. His playing left tackle in the NFL, it's a foot speed position, and you're going up against the best athlete on defense. So he's done a really nice job, I think, improving that and just kind of playing under control. He's so big and he's so strong, and he doesn't need to do a million different things to move people and to get himself in the right body position.
So what's y'all's thoughts on that?
Dude, I'm so excited to watch him play left tackle. Like,
Yep.
the way that the word that I would use for how he goes about his job is he attacks his job. Like,
Mhm.
he is so determined. Like, I pray that he stays healthy, because he's going to be he's going to hold down that line like when Taylor Lewan started. Like, he brought that leader dog mentality. Like, we're going to run the ball left, and we're going to run it left 4 times in a row, and they can't stop it. Like, so it's just that, like, he's going to work hard. He's already becoming a leader as a rookie, and he's got that Alabama blood, I guess, as much as I hate to say it. And it's going to carry over. It's already carrying over. I mean, everybody can feel his energy. So I can't wait to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up Taylor Lewan, because I feel like since Taylor Lewan, retired, we've had a massive hole on the left side of the line, not just like from a physical standpoint, but like a mental and a locker room standpoint too. Because you just heard him say, that's the left side of the line. It's the most important part. Like, the left tackle is like the hardest position to play. Footwork's got to be there. Physical toughness, like strength, got to all be there. It's the hardest position to play, and to have a guy there that can do good there, but also can be a leader at such a young age is crucial. And that's what Taylor Lewan was. And I know, like, his last couple of years, he got a lot of criticism for not being like the greatest, because he was going through injuries and whatnot. But something that also stood out to me, Drew, before you even played that clip, saying how he reached out to Sweat and was like, "Yo, we need you healthy. We need you like back on the field, like, not ready to fight off injuries." I think that shows a lot of character, but also leadership in a sense, not just from him, but the new coaching staff as well, not forcing Sweat to get back on the field. Like, yo, this is OTAs. Like, you're practicing. Because if this was Mike Vrabel's camp, and more shade towards Mike Vrabel, Devondre Sweat would be on that field practicing
Pushing
every
sleds.
single day, pushing sleds with an injury. Like we are forcing him to practice through injury. And it makes me like this coaching staff even more, that they're responsible enough to be like, hey, this is a young guy with a lot of potential that we need on the field when it comes to the fall. He can miss a couple weeks of OTAs and just get healthy. I mean,
I think
it just goes to show
our
you.
new conditioning and
it's
all those people too.
It's a change in the building. Like, I mean, completely. Because truly, that's why I think Treylon hasn't really been able to get healthy, is we never gave him time to get healthy.
Yeah.
He's hurting his ankle and he's out there practicing every week. Like, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's cool to see a different type of coaching and stuff going on.
I think with JC too, one thing I like is, it's like Kill says, the Alabama, mindset where you could tell, like, he is not going out there and he is not wasting a single rep. He is putting 100% in every single snap he does. And in his interviews that he was doing yesterday that I was alluding to, he also said that they asked him about that mindset and like what leads to that. And they were saying that he was saying that he gets it a lot from Kobe, from where Kobe had a mindset of that he thought he was coming into the NBA a little late, and so he was trying to do double the amount of work each day That way, in a year's span, he can get better. He can get 2 years better in a year span.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's taking that mindset to it, where he's like, I know, and like OTAs right now, they're only getting 6 hours a day on the field, and then once training camp starts, they get 10 hours a day, or 10 hours total for practice. And then right now they have 6 hours.
Right.
So, and he's already said that all that Bill Callahan is teaching them right now is just hands. It's just hand placement. Because with a guy like JC, he's strong. You don't have to teach him how to do that. He's got good feet. Obviously, he played at Alabama, and I don't know. I just think he is. I can see now why our because Rand said that the number one thing, he said it on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast, the number one thing that he looked at in every single player, he didn't look at physicals, he didn't look at physically like skills and everything these players had. He looked at character, number one. And he sat there and he's like, if I don't have guys that I want to be on my team with a good character, they're not going to be on it. And I could see why our coaching staff fell in love with this kid, or not even kid. I mean, mountain of a dude.
He's a man.
Yeah. And we might be able to go on to the next video here in a second, but I think with JC, it's the attitude and effort and everything you're going to get, but then you combine that with the raw talent and then his work ethic, and it's going to come together. And I think he'll be a potential Pro Bowler and could go a long way. But like you're saying, the stuff with the hands, you better watch out if he figures out where to get his hands, because he's got some paws on him. So it's gonna be really fun to watch. I'm excited for the season.
Well, before we move on too, I was forgetting to mention, he said yesterday that obviously Will Levis called him, that we saw that the Titans posted, but the other guy that called him was Peter Skoronski. And he said that pretty much every single day leading up until the rookie minicamp, they were on the phone with each other every day, going over the itinerary, going over everything that he should be expecting to do, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just showing that like our left side of the line is invested in the team, just how Lawan and Saffold and Ben Jones were.
Yes.
Now, I mean, we have that new 2.0 generation in him, Skoronski and Kush. So I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like.
And I think right before we move on here, I did want to say, because you made me think of it when they said that, and I don't think we have a clip of Will in here, but he said at one point during his interview that they're going on a retreat for routes. I don't know who all's going, but
the
it sounds
skill
like
position players.
Yeah, so they're going to be working together, but also just kind of a team bonding type thing. So I thought that was really cool.
And all the rookies, this rookie draft class, Sweat already said they have one planned for them as well.
Oh, good.
So that's one thing I say too. This rookie draft class to me, which I don't know if that's just because I didn't really pay attention in the past or whatnot, but
it feels different.
I haven't seen a rookie class this like intentional on getting together with them and becoming boys, and actually like having good chemistry on the field compared to this class. But in this second clip, we're gonna move on. It was the one I thought I was gonna do first, but thank y'all for correcting me on that. Is Chig talking about just the culture differences that we have from the Vrabel area until right now with Callahan and all the new coaches coming along, which I thought was very which we can hit on after. But there's a couple key things he says in this that I really like.
Guys are just more relaxed, now with our building. I feel like guys come in and they're not as tense, not as stressed out. And it just allow people to be a lot more free in the locker room. I mean, we always were free in the locker room, but there's a lot more free on the field. I think we're going to see a lot of that this year.
Do you have an example of that freedom? Just like, how is that manifesting itself?
An example of it? I mean, just, coming in and being, I feel like just coming in and being yourself, not feeling like you need to, minimize yourself, what you're doing, just coming in and fully being you.
What do you attribute that more relaxed environment or atmosphere to?
Well, it's just the different cultures right now. We're seeing a new culture. The way we do things, it's a lot more on us, on the players, to get going. So I feel like that's having ownership of that has been a big thing.
Yep.
I mean, that couple of things in that is crazy to me. The whole, players being more relaxed is the very first thing he said. And just feeling like they can be themselves in the locker room. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, that was one thing that came out with Vrabel, that former players had said, like Wesley Woodyard, like in the locker room, you can't even bring you got a wife and kids, you can't even bring them Like he wouldn't let you bring your wife and kids after games, before games, like practices, like. But then he would let his wife and kids just walk around the locker room and around the facility. But like it felt like he mistreated younger players too, you know. And I feel like, I mean, Chig's excited. I mean, who wouldn't be excited going into a new
Mhm.
an offensive friendly coach and Callahan, who you know you're going to get the ball more. You know you're going to throw the ball a little bit more. You're going to get a little bit more targets to improve yourself. But like, it feels like this team actually feels like they're like a family. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they're all like, we're seeing people talk more highly of each other now, and like actually they sound like a football team, and not
Yeah.
like, it doesn't feel like it's just a job that they show up to, you know, every day and they go home and don't, you know, try to get along with each other. I feel like every single person that's been interviewed has been like high praise for everyone, but also just talking about how much they're liking each other, how much they're hanging out. Like the culture is completely different, which is a great thing.
Yeah, I agree. And let me give you a prime example of what a new culture can do, because I saw it on the first Hard Knocks from last season. But the prime example for this right now and bringing in a new head coach and a new culture is Dan Campbell. If you
Mm-hmm.
look where the Lions were at a few years ago, and you look at a team that could have and potentially should have played in the Super Bowl last year, it happened that quick, and that is mostly because of the culture change. They changed the head coach, which then followed and changed, you know, all the assistant coaches, brought in new people that had the same mindset as him, and all their brains worked in similar ways, and that's how what I feel with Ran and Callie, and we can see that kind of change. Hopefully, I mean, obviously that's what we would want to accomplish, but that's a perfect example of, we just saw this happen. So if you can get everybody on the same page, and then you bring in players that you're looking for to have those same attributes and mental qualities, but then have the physical talent as well, it just kind of feels like a lot of things are starting to line up. Now, does that mean we go and win the division? No, but it's a step in the right direction to hopefully do that soon. So I just think you hear a lot of that in what Chig's saying, and most of the players are saying this. Pretty much everybody that we've heard in these interviews, that's what they're saying. Even the coaches, there's something about, I think the word that most people use is energy. The energy in the building is different, and not that Vrabel was always bad, because I think we can attribute a lot of our success in recent years to Vrabel, but it needed to change, and so hearing all of this has been really good.
Well, one thing I'll attest to is, I was just thinking of, you think, especially this year with the guys we've added, Ridley, Cushenberry, you know, you name
Mm-hmm.
them, especially Cushenberry. You ask, you know, what is the main reason you came to our team? Cushenberry said, number one, Bill Callahan, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And what happened for that? It was because our head coach went out and said, "Yeah, let's fill this position with somebody new." Obviously, it's his dad, but regardless, it's a new coach, and you bring him over. What was Vrabel always so bad and never wanted to do? Change his coaches to people that
Mm-hmm.
from outside the building. He
Yep.
always wanted to promote his friends, always wanted to promote people from within, and wouldn't look to the outside. Because to me, what this is saying to me is, if I'm a free agent in years past, Tennessee did not look like a good place to come and play.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I mean, yeah, you get, you know, no income tax, whatever, with your contracts if you play there, but regardless, it didn't look like the style of football you wanted to come and play in. Now we get a more modernized offense with pretty much a whole new coaching staff, brand new culture. Like that's what Austin said. Everybody sounds like they want to be a family and want to go play for the guy right beside them. And by the past couple teams, I don't think we've had that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's shown. But to break up these videos that way, we're not just speed running them. The question I forgot to ask when we started was, from all the OTA videos that y'all have seen or whatever YouTube highlights that they've posted, who has been one player in OTAs that has stood out to y'all?
Kel, you want to
Not
go
all at
first?
once.
Yeah, I've seen I've seen quite a few of them. I haven't seen all of them. Hmm. This is weird because I try to stay really even keel in the training camp, mini camp, mindset because while it is very exciting because of this drought, is what I call it. After the Super Bowl, up until the draft, this time that we're just waiting and anticipating. I don't want to get too high or too low based on the videos I'm seeing. I am excited to see them, but I just want to see, I don't know, progress, positive attitudes. I want to see the rookies just in action and being coached. And I feel like that's what we've seen in a lot of these videos. My favorite videos have probably been the clips of Bill Callahan coaching JC and seeing how they will get it wrong. And then what I've heard a lot in all these interviews is Coach Callahan and Coach Callie and all these other guys say, okay, let's get it wrong once, but let's not miss it more than once. And that's those we've seen video evidence of that from those clips of JC and Skaronski or whoever. So that's been cool to watch. But I think my favorite thing, honestly, which wasn't even it was a clip from practice, but it was the one our actual media team put on YouTube when Callie was mic'd up during practice. And man, that it just like I think Vrabel may have done that once, maybe, but it just felt so different.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was so positive. He's interacting with the players, but also in that same JC mindset, it seems that when he does flip it to football, it's a whole new switch. Like he is serious. He wants to win, but he wants the culture to be right first, and he's creating those relationships. So I really enjoyed, them go like he's new. He's brand new. He just got here and he's already mic'd up, and I just thought that was really cool. So that was probably my favorite clip. But I have enjoyed watching the rookies. I'd say it's probably been the two things that I've looked at most.
I would probably say the one thing that's kind of stood out to me the most is like the availability. Like under Vrabel, I felt like everything was such a secret. You never talked about anything. You never saw anything. Like you basically like whatever team they put together, you weren't really seeing much. You weren't really hearing much until it was the preseason. And I feel like that's where it's way different now. Is a lot of people are like being more open and honest about what they've been doing, where they've been taking reps at, and which moves on to my point. Who has stood out to me the most, or I guess like who's. First off, I'll shout out Josh Wiley because I think he's been doing really good. But he's not the player that I want to touch on the most. It's actually Dylan Radins. Dylan Radins was very open and honest with the media and said, yeah, like I haven't been able to play in a position, my whole career. I've been like moved from left tackle to center to right guard to right tackle everywhere. But he's like, I'm like stationary at right guard. So to actually be able to hear him say that, hey, I'm taking snaps at right guard. Like he's put on weight, he's put on muscle to like slide down and play that position. If this was any other year, 3, 4, or 5 years ago, no player would have ever said that. They would have been Mike Vrabel would have killed them for saying something like that. And same thing for Brunskill. Brunskill said, yeah, I've been like, really practicing as the backup center and like, focusing on being a swing guy to play all of them, center, right guard, left guard, wherever. So like, it's really cool to see players like be confident in themselves, but also be open and honest with the media. Because up until this, we're saying, oh, Dylan Radins is probably going to be right tackle. Nope. Still potential if Petit Fryer doesn't work out, but he's been saying he's been taking snaps at right guard. So like that just tells.
I'll tell you this, Austin. In that, I didn't clip it, but Teron had an interview with Dylan Radins on the field, and he asked him, what he thought of Bill and what he's been learning from Bill. And Radins said from day one he appreciates that he sat down with Bill Callahan the day one when he put him into his office. And Bill Callahan told him from day one, you will play right guard.
Exactly.
You're not playing another position. You're playing right guard.
That's what I'm saying. Like, let the man stick to a position and play it. Don't move him to left tackle, left guard, right tackle, center. Like, give him a position and let him thrive in it and learn it and be good at it.
Yeah. Also, another thing with him, too, is we were doing that with him last year while he was coming off an ACL injury.
Yeah.
Throwing him in all these different positions where you have to do different things with your knees. No wonder he wasn't good. But that's what he said. He was like, this year, he's like, this offseason, he's like, I finally had my legs healthy. He's like, I feel like I actually had an offseason to get better rather than the whole offseason of just rehabbing. So I like that. Brunskill with the center thing. he even said like he was doing that just because they don't have a backup center on the team right now, and he's the only one offensive line wise that has 8 total snaps at center, so that's why they threw him there, just to get him through this mini camp until training camp starts where Cushenberry can be there. But yeah, my favorites that I've been watching so far, I have 2 of them. One of them who I've been saying I can't wait to see how he starts this year because he had a really good last half of the year, and that's in Harold Landry. He looks a lot bigger, a lot faster. They even said like he built up a lot of upper body strength because last season he's coming off that ACL injury. He was trying to build up his lower half, but he just looks like the Harold Landry of old before the injury. So that's a great sign because if him and Artie Key can get it clicking and work well together, I mean we don't have to worry about our edge. Like we have a really good edge set. Plus we have another guy that I'll bring up that Austin, like you said, kind of moved around, never really got a chance to play in the Vrabel era, was Caleb Murphy. And, this dude had like 22 and a half sacks in a college season one time when he was in college. And he just never got a chance to play under Vrabel. Nope. And that might have been because he came from a D2 school and, all this kind of stuff, whatever. But I'm excited to see these younger guys, but these rotational pieces actually get some reps compared to the years past. But another guy, like Kel said it before we started the episode, is the wide receiver that we took, Jaquan Jackson from Tulane. He's undersized, but I mean, he can affect the game like Tyreek. He's just so quick and agile and fast. Where if you just give him the ball in the open field and you let him go, and he's been killing it. And we'll get to a question here later on this episode about wide receivers.
I will say one more. There's actually, it's not just one more person. It's like a group. I'll group them together just to make it a little bit shorter. About looking better, I guess, looking better in a sense. And that's the whole running back room. I feel like when you're watching these clips, we're so used to seeing El Tractorcito just tumbling his way, down the field. But like Pollard and Spears, man, they look good. They look quick. They look agile. They look fast. Like they're all coming out the backfield, like strong hands. Like they just look good. I mean, they both of them look great.
Yeah, no more bricking the helmet off the stick with the stiff arm.
Nope.
But
nope.
yeah, I mean,
God.
and we don't have to touch on this too much, but I will say I hope for the best for Derek. But I am super excited to see Tajay and Tony Pollard back there because, man, even the coaches, Holtz and Callie talked about, like, man, it's exciting to have those guys. I think Callie even was like, they're my most exciting position group that I'm going to be able to work with.
They look good.
Having 2 guys that have a little bit of different kind of versatility because Tajay's more open field, shifty, and then you have Pollard who's still shifty but quick, but he's got kind of that power downhill type. But they both do everything so well. So it's just going to be really fun to watch how we utilize them. I think it's going to be really 50-50, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see. I hope we bring back, I forgot what it's actually called, but there's a set we ran with Derek sometimes where we'd be in a shotgun and Derek's on the right and we would have Tajay on the left.
Bro.
And bro, I want to see what these defenses do when they see Tajay and Tony Pollard out there in the same play. Because you truly have no idea what's going on.
And 3 wide receiver sets. We're not going to be running no 12, 13 personnel all the time with multiple tight ends. Like, there's going to be more receivers out there.
And it's like Austin said, shout out Josh Wiley. He's turned his body around specifically.
Yes, he looks good.
Coming in, he looks a lot more lean and a little quicker, too, from the videos that I've seen. And just more comfortable.
Him. He's tall, man.
Yeah. And Tic Tac Titans posted the other day, he wouldn't be surprised if he takes Chig's tight end 1 spot.
I'm not going to rule it out.
He could. I will give a little undrafted free agent spotlight. I know all these guys are fighting for that 53-man roster spot. They all want to be there, and there is a lot of them. But one realistically 2 people been standing out the most between all the undrafted free agents, and that's Gabe Jeudy-Lally. Cornerback from Tennessee this past year, undrafted. He's been balling, especially with Snead not being out there. He's kind of stepped up and gotten a lot of snaps. But also Cole Spencer interior offensive lineman from Texas Tech, undrafted this year. I know he's fighting for that right guard spot with Raidens, and he's been doing pretty solid as well.
And it's Sadiq Charles.
Yep. So
Yeah, and Sadiq
I
Charles.
think,
yeah,
I think these next two, Drew, if I'm not wrong, are both defense. And
Yes.
these two clips out of the looks like with 5 that we have are probably my favorite, because as fun as it is to look at the offensive side and to say, oh man, it looks like we're actually going to score some points this year, our defense our defense has been really up and down. Like, we had the games where we've shut down the Patriots dynasty, and we've had games like that where we shut down the Chiefs randomly, and we shut down the Bengals last year. But it's like this seems like it's going to be more consistent. It's a new type of defense, and what we're going to hear from Arden Key and Coach Wilson on these next two, I think, is something that the fans really need to get excited about.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, this one here from Arden Key is probably the most, I guess you want to call it, controversial, or conversation starting ones that have come out in the past weeks.
Frustrating, for sure.
Titans fans, I mean, this is going to solve every single question you've ever had about our defense right here.
The intensity he got, the detail, and we don't move on until everything is fixed. And the detail he got and the swag that he got and that he come in with every day, oh man, I'm just excited.
Did you move on before some details were fixed in the past?
Hell yeah. Yes, we moved on. If we messed up, we didn't fix it. And now this year, when we mess up, we don't move on until we fix it. So
crazy.
The zero hesitation.
Hey, and let me just say, he could have been pulling from other teams, but he has only been with us for 1 year, which means we know the staff that he was working with when they didn't fix these things. Now, I understand there's time restraints in the NFL when you're in the regular season, but there is an attention to detail that feels different than before, and that's what I like.
I mean, bro, think about it. We talked about it in past episodes. Think about how many just blown coverages in our, because like we majorly ran zone defense in our secondary.
Yep.
The amount of just blown coverages was insane. Like the amount of times that like Fulton, his receiver, just run behind him, and like Amani Hooker or Kevin Byard would have to be guarding something. They were supposed to be guarding somebody else, but Fulton didn't pick up the deep zone, and they just let up a big play.
Yep.
And
Christian
just those kind of stuff.
Hot dog guy in the stands, and there's a 50-yard
bomb. Or he's on the ground, or he's on the ground holding his
AJ Brown.
Yeah, he's on the ground holding his hamstring.
Or one thing, more specifically too, like they're looking at the sideline, like what are we even running? Like they're sitting here like, because everybody looks at the mic, whoever's wearing the green dot, they're telling you to play call. That's the only person that's talking to the DC, which would be Coach Denard Wilson, and they're telling them what they're running. Hey, Sneed, you're pressing this guy into the hot dog stand. you're pressing this guy to IHOP down the street. Okay, he's not getting past you. Okay, Christian Fulton's up there saying, all right, what are we doing here? He's looking over here, looking at Jack Gibbons. Jack Gibbons is looking over there. Where are we looking at? Oh, AJ Brown's touchdown. Like, what are we doing here? That's coaching. No one knows what's going on, but it's because they weren't practicing. I mean, it tells you they weren't getting the details in practice down, and so they're just skimming through it like quick, and then we're getting torched on Sundays.
And I wonder to bring this up, because you think about our, last year specifically, but even a couple of years, past, is I wonder how much that is because of how much our defense has had to carry these past couple of teams that we've had.
And you got to factor in injuries.
Well, yes, but also, we've had the number one run defense the past couple of years, right? And we'd had a pretty bad pass defense. But it's like, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, where it was that one stat where like we literally could never score in the second half of a game for like almost the whole season. And so it's like, I wonder if all of our practices were just like, yo, offense, let's get it together. And they just kind of brushed over the defense.
Yeah.
It could also be because Vrabel's a physical linebacker, great linebacker coach. I think he was a great defensive line coach, but not a great secondary coach. He didn't know how to coach a secondary. And like you said earlier, he liked to hire within. So we're hiring our special teams guy to come be our secondary coach. Or like we're hiring some no-name that has zero coaching experience and is probably not a good coach to come be our defensive back coach, which is, I get it, whatever. But like, I mean, that doesn't work in the NFL, and I feel like that's why Christian Fulton was like, "Thank God, like get me out of here. Like I can actually get coached by somebody."
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that about the attention to detail, and of course Arden Key said that too. But you won't hear it in this next clip as much. You'll kind of gather the intensity of Coach Wilson, which is really cool. Like, I mean, he opens his mouth to talk, and you listen. Like, everybody's quiet. And one thing that Elijah Molden said that is another thing about Coach Wilson is that he emphasizes over communication. So, I mean, it's just going to be a different level of camaraderie, I think, and attention to detail. Like, it's not like like you're going to have a KB that's running the defense or a Big Jeff. Like, everybody's going to know what they're doing because he wants them to play loose, free, and fast. You have to play defense like that in the NFL or you're going to get destroyed. You can't play timid. You can't play hesitant. And so we've picked up players that are going to do that, and we've picked up a coach that's going to stress to our younger players that they have to do that or they're not going to play. So,
well, it's like you said, Denard Wilson already said that his defense is going to be based on two factors, and they both start with R: relentless and resilient. And so, I mean, we're going to be very up in your face, like this clip is going to tell you. But one thing that another interview he did where, they asked him, like, oh, the players are always saying how, energizing you are and how that, you get them fired up and they want to, run through a wall hypothetically. And he sat there and Denard was like, yeah, he's like, well, the players make me feel that way. So like, that's why I'm like this. Cause he's like, the players get me fired up, and everything.
And I'll say another quote that I heard him say, or actually Callie said it on the bus, but he said Denard calls his players dogs, disciplined a-holes with grit. And like, that's what you want out of a defense. So yeah, I think the because this is what we want this podcast to be. We want it to be a fan kind of reaction and experience with the other fans around the area, and like this next one will make the fans very happy. Like you can just feel the intensity that he brings to interviews.
And before I play this, one thing I was going to back up on and touch on with the Chig one is he said that he feels like it's a lot on the players now to set the tone and set the culture, but how they want to play. And I feel like this year, which I really hope we do, I hope we show so much more emotion when we play.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Other than Big Jeff when he gets a sack, I feel like I don't see any emotion from our team. Other than Will Levis on his debut, I mean that was insane.
Yeah, and the Dolphins
like,
game,
oh, he was
going crazy in the
dude.
Dolphins
Yeah,
game.
like I want us to sit there and like talk your trash, bro. Get up, do whatever you want to do. I feel like people are just scared.
Yeah.
It was like the big bad wolf in Vrabel, and he never wanted to mess up. But we can catch on this Denard Wilson clip. Like Gil said, it's gonna. Oh God, I cannot wait. I can't wait to see how this defense plays.
For me, I believe press or less. Like I want them to line up, and I want them to be in front of receivers and challenge the receivers. Ultimately, in this game, if you get free access, it's easy for the quarterbacks to complete balls. So what I do is I want to create hesitation at the line of scrimmage and make them earn it the hard way. Make them earn it, throw the 50-50 ball. But everything else, we're going to challenge.
How do you approach that? Do you leave it open to them to do it, or you telling them?
From day one, we press everything.
We press everything. Oh my!
No more third and 5, and we're guarding them like it's 3rd and 8.
15
oh
yards
man!
off the line.
Christian Fulton's 20 yards off the ball, and it's 3rd and 3. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, we're guarding Tyreek, and we're 8 yards off him.
We got our corners playing safety. We got 4 safeties on the field,
literally. And we're in zone 2. That's the worst part. It's not even man coverage. It's a 20-yard split zone. Oh my goodness!
Everybody talks about receivers finding holes in the zones. Like our whole zone is a hole. Like.
Oh, you do is throw a quick screen over there.
Just stop wherever and you're open.
Just run a 5-yard slant. You're wide open.
But that's where, in adding a guy like Snead, I mean, there's that infamous clip where he is pushing Tyreek Hill to the ground when that ball gets snapped because he's pressing him so hard.
I love that.
Sending him to the hot dog stand is also a save.
Dude, he is, man. He's ordering him one too. Chili cheese. See you on the sideline.
Yeah, because he's right there beside him. He's gonna be hip locked with him the whole way. He's like, hey, you want mustard on that? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Literally.
So,
only thing that this opens up though is they better be disciplined, which I don't fear that they're not going to be. But you have to play that style. The amount and with the way that these we talked about
Dogs.
with the rule changes, that episode we talked about that. The way that these refs call defensive pass interference these days,
Crazy.
or even just like hands
Favors
to the
the
face
offense.
or
Yeah.
anything, like you got to be disciplined with it, or those penalties will rack up.
And
But
I think
but that's the thing. In the past, I think we were hesitant to be aggressive because we were scared of penalties and stuff like that. Whereas, I mean, I'd rather play aggressive and we get penalized here and there than not, and we
Yeah.
just get torched all day long by freaking
Mhm.
Gardner Minshew. So
because Snead got some penalties last year. Like I don't remember, and
Yeah.
the corner spot, but that most of your great corners are top in the league at a corners getting penalized because they're so physical, and they challenged him. Like Wilson said, like we're gonna challenge them at the line of scrimmage. Like I mean, you have to do that in today's NFL to be successful. Like I mean, penalties are a part of the game. Like I mean, you don't want excess amounts of penalties, but like Kel said, I would rather be physical and maybe get a penalty here and there for being maybe a little over physical than to play 20 yards off the ball and give them free first downs
yes,
on any sort of passing.
and that goes
play.
for offense too. I remember in an old interview, Taylor, back when Taylor was playing and they were still doing the podcast, he said that as annoying as it is to your team and to yourself to commit even a false start or a hold penalty, to be able to do that and then keep level headed and then make up for it on the next play, that's the type of players that I want, and I think that we have, and that's the mentality I think we'll have with this new coach.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I feel like our secondary is built in the way where other than McCreary, we're set up for years to come because they're all on a 3-year or 4-year contract. Other than McCreary, I feel like we had the potential to have a cornerback room that can have one of those defensive nicknames like some of these past defensive had, like Seattle had the Legion of Boom. I feel like our cornerback room can really, if they play to their potential and shut down these teams, we can have a little group that they can have a nickname.
Let me tell you
after.
what, if they play like they're supposed to, it's going to be a no-fly zone. I'll tell you that.
Especially if you can add a veteran safety and Justin Simmons,
Bermuda
Marcus May
Triangle,
or somebody. Add one more.
They might be called
veteran.
They might be called Bermuda Triangle because them receivers are going to be getting lost for sure, for sure.
Or we could just be the what do you call them? Hot dog vendors. I mean,
yeah, hot dog stand right there.
Sal's hot dogs. This next clip I got is I said the Arden Key one is controversial, but this one is mainly going to be the most controversial one, which I feel like you're going to hear one specific thing in this clip which everybody is running with, but this just it gives us flashbacks to the Vrabel era that wasn't that great in comparative how we use certain players. But this is the head coach Brian Callahan on a specific player that's been a hot topic this year.
You only get so many hats on game day, and if he's one of those guys on game day, we're going to have to find a place for him because those special teams guys like him should be great special teams players on top of it, just because of his size and speed. And so the gunner thing is something I think he's very capable of doing. There might be some more roles for him in the other phases as well. But yeah, anytime you're not the full-time starter, you're going to have to contribute somewhere on game day. And I think Trey's attitude and approach to special teams has been fantastic. And so I'm excited to see what he can do for him. I think he's an asset on special teams.
And obviously there he's talking about Traylon Burks. And I'll go ahead and throw in my 2 cents because mine's going to be probably the most – I'm very level-headed on this. Now, people will hear – the biggest thing they'll hear from that is the non-starters will have to play a role on special teams. And they're thinking, golly, the guy that we drafted to replace A.J. Brown is now going to be considered a non-starter and it's going to have to contribute on special teams to basically make the team. I disagree with that. I hear what he's saying, but I think you have to think about our roster now. Our top 3 starting receivers is D-Hop and Ridley, which is probably 1A, 1B, and then you have Tyler Boyd. That's 3 top receivers. Traylon is probably 4. That's why he's not considered as a starter. But also, I think he sees the importance of a player with the talent, size, and skill that Traylon has making an impact. Also, keep in mind, our special teams has been cheeks the last few years. Special teams is important. So anything to get out there and for Traylon to show any value is going to be good. I think it's wrong to overreact to that clip. He is going to find things for Traylon to do in the offense. So
I mean,
I think
yeah.
Traylon's going to have a freedom because there's weight off of his shoulders. I'm excited for him. So
Well, and Nick Holtz, our offensive coordinator, had an interview the other day where they're, and even Calvin Ridley, there's that clip of Calvin Ridley I didn't include in here, but where Calvin Ridley said that Traylon reminds him of A.J. Brown, of Julio Jones, of Terrell Owens. Shout out T.O. But, that kind of players, because he's big, he's fast, the way he catches the ball, like those are those kind of receivers. And, you have that. And then you have this clip of Callie showing like, oh yeah, well Burks is going to have to provide on special teams to justify him having a game day roster spot. And it's like, no, I just think that they took a random clip from where they threw Burks out there as the gunner on one play, and that's just what people are running with.
yeah,
Like to be honest, I mean, even Vrabel had that mindset of like, if you're not a starter, you have to provide something.
yeah.
And that's what our team hasn't had. Like, shout out Darren Bates, of the old team. We
Goat.
haven't had a Darren Bates on the team.
Special teams specialist.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, especially, and shout out Stonehouse has been seen, walking around out there at practice. He's not fully cleared yet by the
I'm
medical
glad to have him
staff,
back.
but he is out there with them, so that looks good. And obviously, Nick Folk we re-signed prior to coming into camp, so that was another big signing that we had. But yeah, overall, I think, like you said, he's going to be that wide receiver 4, just because that's just the way the cookie crumbles with the receivers that we have. And to be honest, I've been saying it. I really hope he does have a breakout year, because if he can, it only accelerates our timeline.
Mhm.
And to be honest, even if he does have a breakout year, because he is a first round pick, we can, 5th-year option him next year. For his new contract, he hasn't played. He's played 11 games each year that he's been in the league. 11 games. He doesn't have to have this massive wide receiver 1 contract that everybody thought he was going to get because we drafted him to be A.J. Brown.
Mhm.
We could get him on a cheaper deal, which helps us obviously because, eventually we're going to have to pay Will Levis, so it's just one of those things where if he produces, cool, awesome for us. If he doesn't, he's on his last year of his contract next year or the following season after this one. So
Here's
we'll see.
here's what I think about Traylon. I think that all off season Tennessee Titans fans they've kind of switched up now. All off season we talked about Traylon's not the guy. We need to get people in the room to take some stress off Traylon, take some of the pressure off of his shoulders of living up to AJ Brown. And that's exactly what this coaching staff and Rand Carthon just did. They brought in Tyler Boyd to be the slot guy. They brought in Calvin Ridley to be the number 1. It's very rare that you see 4 wide receiver sets anymore, especially with how good our running back room is now. I think that fans overreacted a little bit. Like, oh my goodness, he's not the starter. Did you expect him to be the starter? All offseason, you've been asking for him to not be a starter and to get pressure off of him. This is the first step. He's not the starter. He's not the every down starter. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to play, because
He's got 3
how old is
good
D-Hop?
veterans now in his
D-Hop
year,
is
too.
Yeah, exactly. D-Hop is 32. Or did he just turn 32 or did he just turn 33? Either way, even last year, if he makes a catch or 2 plays, 3 plays, he's got to come off the field for a breather. He's coming off the field to take a break. Wow. Traylon's wide receiver 4, he's on the field. It's not like he's just not touching the field on offense. I think that's where fans are getting it they're kind of conceiving what Callahan just said there. He's saying like he's going to contribute. He's not the starter. And now we're complaining that he's not the starter. Well, wasn't that the plan all offseason, was to make him not the guy anymore, that we put all of our pressure on? And now that we've done that, we're mad that he's not going to be a starter. Yeah, I'm cool with him being wide receiver 4 and coming off the bench and using this explosiveness. I wanted that all offseason. So it's still training camp. People are going to go up and go down a lot on the roster and the depth chart over the next couple months. I think he ends up as wide receiver 4 just off pure talent. And I think he contributes.
It's a perfect little segue there, Austin, into our last question.
Yeah.
And this is the one that it was going to be interesting to get to. And the last question we have on here to discuss is, who won't make the roster in the wide receiver room? Now
Do we
this
want
is
a
interesting
list?
because we probably need to pull it up because I don't know.
I can name a few, but I don't
Well,
know.
here's
It's
the
a
thing:
lot of people.
we don't. How many receivers
We
do you
also
think
don't
we
know how many
keep
we're
in
going to
total?
keep. Yeah.
I think we keep at least 6.
Ooh, probably more than 6.
I would
Well,
say
that's why I said at
7.
least 6.
I would say 7, and also because of the new special teams rule. But if we say 7, I'm immediately going to go D Hop, Ridley, TB,
I mean,
Traylon
4 of them are
Burks.
locked up for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
those are your locks. And then it gets interesting. I do think you're probably going to see Westbrook Akina at
For sure,
5.
going to have Akine for sure.
Yep.
Number 5
and
for
then,
sure.
And then I could really see it being. I think Jaquan makes it for the special teams aspect. Jaquan Jackson.
I think he beats out Kyle Phillips any day.
So that's the
Easily.
interesting one because I feel like the last spot, if there is 7, is between Kyle Phillips and Kyrus Jackson. I
The
think
interesting thing
Dowell
is right now
potentially
is
like
Dow.
practice squad guy.
Yeah, because I mean he also is coming off ACL injury,
I don't think he makes it. That was my receiver not to make it. I don't think.
and he was an
makes it.
undrafted guy too. So it's like it's not that big of a deal for.
Well, no,
cut
he was
him.
he was drafted. He was
No, he's seventh
seventh
round.
round.
Was he? I thought he was undrafted.
Yeah.
No, he was a seventh round.
7th round.
But he did tear his ACL. He's basically undrafted. He's not making the roster. I don't think he's making the roster. ACL injury. He's got.
And I don't think Kinsey makes it anymore.
No,
I think Kinsey might. I think he might. I think he's the last in.
you think he's the last in?
I think he's going to be the last in.
To me, Kinsey doesn't make it over. He shouldn't make it over Kyrus or Kyle Phillips. So I think the one of those could be out, but it's going to be like which one.
Mason Kinsey was our best punt returner last year by far.
But that's why we got
we're not
Jaquan
going to have to worry
Jackson,
about that
though.
anymore.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying like in general because I mean you think about it like we said with kickoff, we have no idea how that's going to look formation wise. You might have one dude back there, you might have 2 guys back there. You know who knows what we're going to do. But I feel like I mean to be honest, it's been the Mason Kinsey way this past couple of years. He's on the team, off the team, on the team. He finds a way to consistently be in.
He works hard.
He works his butt off.
Like,
but
he
it's
does.
just
the
I don't
talent
know.
is there though, to where he doesn't necessarily have to be on the team anymore.
Yeah.
So
I think like if we are going 7, Kel, you gave your 7. If I were to pick 7, obviously Ridley, D Hop, Tyler Boyd, and Traylon. I think, like Kel said, I think that if I'm taking another backup slot, it's Jaquan Jackson, more versatile, and like he can play special teams as well. Nick Westbrook Akine, that's 6. I only got one more spot. So Dowell's not making it, and I don't think that Kyle Phillips makes it. I don't think Mason Kinsey makes it. It's actually, I think that it's either Kyrus Jackson, just because I think he's a little bit faster and like can bring a little bit more to the offense maybe, and maybe contribute on special teams. It's either him or it's actually, I think we keep one of the undrafted free agents that we got, and that could be Bryce Oliver from Youngstown State. And the only reason I say that is because there's one style of receiver that we do not have in this offense. And can you tell me what that is? We've got the speed. We've got the for sure hands. We've got the deep.
Size?
We've got the deep ball. We've got the
red
physical.
zone?
It's the red zone, and that dude's like 6'4", 220 pounds. He's a jump ball guy. He's only there to go get jump balls. I think that maybe.
But you might
that
be able
dude
to rule that out with people like Chig and Josh Wiley.
Maybe.
I mean, and D Hop.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean
but
D Hop's hands. D Hop's
hands.
I wouldn't say he's overly tall, but his hands. are just what
he's
makes
only
him so
6'1".
good.
He's your hands and your chain mover and like your short route guy. I'm talking about just a straight up get up, throw it up, get up and go get it. This dude's like 6'3", 6'4". Like I know he played at Youngstown State, which is not some big school, but he's a jump ball guy. Like he's only there to catch jump balls. He's nothing. He's nothing else. Like I think that he would make it just to have the option for that because you never know when you need that. So
Yeah. Plus, next year potentially signing, T Higgins to the team, be free agent.
Or you
if
draft
he
one
if he
earlier.
doesn't get contract, or you go through the draft, and that's how Rand said it on the bus. Right now we're lucky enough to have a young quarterback, not even on a first round contract, on a second round contract that we can build around. And he mentioned once we have to pay him, you have to build your team back up. You do it through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I don't even know any college receivers at this time for the next class, whatever. But
Luther Burden's the best. He's
he
the
is,
highest rated
hands
at the
down.
moment out of Missouri.
all in all, I don't want to be in a position next year to have a top 7 pick again. I want us to
Yeah.
be competitive.
And right now they have us higher than that, to be honest.
Number two.
Well, they're expecting us to have the second round or the second pick. Yeah, I saw FanDuel had us 1 and 16 yesterday.
Like that, I think that's a joke, to be honest.
That's crazy.
But that question we didn't hit on. Do y'all think that this Devondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, even NPF, all these other kind of guys that haven't been there a single day due to rehabbing injuries, do you feel like that's too early in the season to consider it a problem, or do you think it's a problem?
I do. I think it's too early. The one that worries me, sort of, is actually Snead.
Or Snead, that was it. Yep.
Yeah, Snead is the one that worries me, only because I don't want to say worry yet, because the word they used last week was maintenance. He was out there doing side drills 1 or 2 of those days, but last year he is the caliber where he didn't really practice a lot or didn't go full speed, kind of like D-Hop, and then he was out there on Sunday, one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the NFL. And so, look, if that's what it comes to and that's what he's doing for us this season, I could care less how much or when he's practicing. Honestly, I don't care. If he's producing on Sunday and he's available, do what you have to do. So I don't want to overreact to that quite yet. I think it could potentially be a worry, but it's not anything out of the ordinary from what he did last year so far. So not too worried yet.
Yeah,
and not
I know.
worried about the other guys.
Denard even said in an interview that he considers Snead a produce guy, is what he said. He said there. He said you look at last year on Kansas City, he did the same thing. Didn't really practice. He didn't practice every day, whatever. But he said on Sundays, did he show up? Did he produce? Yeah, he was one of the top corners of the league. So he's going to do the same thing here.
Ask all the number 1 wide receivers that had to go against him.
Ask Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sweat. I don't really think Sweat's is a big thing. I think his is also just right now getting in that weight that they need him to be at, which they're never going to disclose. But obviously signed him last week as well. Finally, he's our last rookie that we have finally signed. So all of our draftees have been signed. And then with Simmons, I'm never worried with Simmons, ever.
Never.
I mean, I follow him on Instagram too. He posts Instagram stories where he's on his bike and everything every day, doing cardio, all this kind of stuff. So he's doing things.
We know what he's about.
Yeah, and I mean, national media won't say it, but he's a top 3 defensive tackle in the league.
I think if he stays on the field for most of the games this year, he's top 2 and he's not 2. So that's just me.
I
think Chris Jones is still alive.
Crazy.
Or he would be number 1. But Chris Jones is still kicking over there, so he can still hold that down. My concern, though, Drew, is Petit. Nicholas Petit-Frere.
Petit, yeah.
At right tackle. Because, I mean, you got to think, too, like these new offensive line, it's a chemistry thing. Bill Callahan's building chemistry, and he's not on the field. So, I mean, that's always a concern. But also, it's also a concern.
Everybody was present, though.
Oh no, yeah, they're there. They're just not
meetings.
participating.
Yeah, but it's also wondering
because this is mandatory minicamp right now. Like you get fined for not being there.
It kind of gives you a concern though, because did he re-injure his shoulder? Because he got hurt. I think it was week 7 or week 8, and that was a long time ago. And he had the surgery during the season, and I feel like by now, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how long it takes to recover from a shoulder injury, but I feel like at this point. It's June 7th. Should he be recovered by now? Did he hit something in the process that kind of delayed him coming back to 100%, or is this precautionary? New coaching staff just making sure that he can get on the field, because now that Radens is for sure been told he's playing right guard, right tackle is only between Mr. Leroy Watson that we traded for and Petit-Frere. So you kind of want Petit-Frere to be healthy and playing at that point.
And that could be just like you said. They're just being safe. sit out. This is OTA / minicamp, not even training camp.
Mm-hmm.
So just I right now it's pretty much everybody get healthy until the pads come on.
And I
That
think
way
that
we
the
can
pads
actually
go
see what
on
we
in
got.
maybe a month and a half, something like that.
It's whenever they get
something.
back, I think.
Yeah,
After
I think
the break.
it starts mid to late July because then
Which,
obviously we start in August for games.
looking
for
forward
preseason
to it,
games.
I remember as soon as Callahan got hired, the first couple of weeks after it, it came out where he already put a request with the league for our training camp to be a combined training camp with another team, which Vrabel never did, ever. He's like he already wants to have combined practices that go against another team rather than going up against
Hopefully it's the
our
Bengals.
guys.
Hopefully it's the Bengals. Maybe we can go
Who
scrimmage
knows?
Bengals.
But one thing I always look forward to in those is they always just be fighting. Always. And like Taylor Awan has always talked about it too. It's just that, these guys are so bored of being out there and it's so hot. And they're just, they're trying to get as many breaks as possible. And, they'll sit there and look at each other like, hey, you want to fight right now? That way we can get a little 10-minute break, And, you had that classic clip of D Hop and that dude on the, in Talib on the Redskins at the time during that. But a lot to look forward to. It was a good episode. I like that. Shout out again. Want to shout out to Ron Davenport for allowing us to use some of his clips. And looking forward to doing it again here soon. Hopefully, we get a lot of good stuff out of these media days. But let us know, what you want to see in these next couple episodes. You leave it down in the comments below. Those of you that are listening on Spotify, you can do it as well. And if you're listening on Spotify and didn't know we're on YouTube, come on over. It's In Between the Sticks, got our logo on it, same one that you're seeing on Spotify. But we're gonna get our other accounts, our Instagram account, all that kind of stuff, so we can post our reels going up here soon. And like we said, trying to get the squad back together here on a more consistent schedule. But for me, that's pretty much all I got for me. I don't know if y'all have anything else y'all want to close with.
I just wanted to say, on YouTube, again, leave a like, subscribe, comment down below if you have anything you want us to talk about specifically or things you're excited about going into realistically this offseason, this upcoming year. And if you have anything you want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll give you a shout out in the next episode.
Yep, I agree. And I think just to kind of close our thoughts out here, if you're a Titans fan and you're just like us or you're listening right now, whatever the case is, there is plenty of reason to be excited about where we're going. So I think that's probably the last thing that I would say. And it's been a good episode. Tighten up.